welcome back to episode 2 of our podcast. And with me today, I have the Broken Thief, Zidane, aka Daniel. Go ahead and say hi, Dan.
What's up, everybody?
And I am Colt Jester. So, we got episode 1 out the other day. We are very excited to bring back another episode for you guys and allow ourselves to continue to bring the video game news of what's going on around and also let you guys know what we've been up to and everything like that. Before we get into all of that, I'm going to be moving this weekend, so we're going to try and see if we can get this episode right away. If not, it might be delayed a little bit, or it might delay next episode. So
yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, and then Daniel, you've got some stuff going on. I don't know if you want to talk about that or not.
Yeah, no, I'm just taking a trip down to Universal with the kids, go have a little fun. So I'll be out for like a week. So we'll have to pick back up after that. So we should be able to get this episode out, I hope, before you move and I take off, and then we'll pick back up with episode 3 right after that. So.
Yeah, and hopefully by that time we'll actually have some juicy news for you guys. I know I'll be having a little bit of playtime in between once I get moved in.
I'll be playing.
Yeah, so...
just because I'm going to Universal doesn't mean I'm not going to be playing video games.
Yeah, so with that being said, let's go ahead and start talking about what we've been playing. We've been playing a lot of games together, so it will be a lot of just crossing all that off. But I'll start off with, we've been playing The Division 2. And I want to talk about that first primarily because I've been playing it a little bit more than Daniel has. So I am roughly level 22. I'm getting kind of close to getting to the end of the story. Loving that game every step of the way.
Absolutely.
So
it's pretty amazing what they've done with that development crew there. It's a lot of fun. I'm trying desperately to catch up to you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for the most part, I've been playing that as much as I can without you, and except for the fact of like now that we have the other game that we've been playing, my time has kind of dwindled down a little bit. But that game, the Division 2, I don't know if I believe I said this last time, but they take everything that they did right in the Division and they do it way better in Division 2, and that is just exponentially going up and up the more I play it. I'm finally getting to the point where I've gotten some purple gear, some yellow gear. I had a really cool LMG at one point in time where the first half of the clip would have a faster rate of fire, but did less damage, and then the second half of the clip was slower to shoot, but it did more damage, which was a really cool little neat thing that they've done with one of the guns that I've seen. So
I haven't seen anything like that. I wasn't aware you had that gun. Of course, I'm like level 12, if even. So no, I don't even think I'm that high. Yeah, so
I think you're 11. Last time you got on, you started off at level 8, and we got you up like 3 levels by doing like 2 missions.
Yeah, it went pretty quick, which is kind of a shame that I'm not caught up to you, because that just shows I haven't been putting my time towards it like I should be.
Well, you also are splitting your time, because we're playing Division 2 together on PC, and Daniel does still play with all of our old group on the PlayStation, so...
Yeah, I can't leave them behind,
I know. I feel bad about doing it, but at the same time, I really do enjoy playing on the PC.
No, I do too. I find myself wanting to play more on the PC.
Well, you did just spend a ton of money on buying a new computer, so...
Well, yeah, and I have to kind of justify that. So, but I do still get my, that lingering wanting to go back to the PS4. So I do split my time a lot, so it's kind of hard. I've actually, I think I'm almost caught up on the PS4 version of The Division with my PC version. So I'm kind of playing both. So, I mean, that's got to count for something, right? Can I just double those, add those together? Like, how does that...
Well, if we got to a stage in our lives within the video game world where cross-play and cross-progression was so, seamless and worked way better, which, hopefully one day we'll get there. But if that was the case, this wouldn't be a problem for you. You could use your PlayStation account on on the PC and vice versa. And, you could play with our other group and not have to lose out on all of your progress that you make with them or make with me or anything like that.
I am really hoping for that day to come where PlayStation more or less decides to play ball.
Yeah, I think they're going to be the last ones to play ball.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, why should they?
Yeah,
they're kind of leading this console war, so why do they need to jump in?
Right.
I feel like with Microsoft and Nintendo is more of like a Microsoft's kind of behind the curve, so let's do everything we can to make ourselves stand out. So I mean, I'm glad they're going down that road, and I really hope that PlayStation follows suit.
Yeah, it'd be really nice to see us get to a stage where that's a dream come true. There is a little bit of conversation that we're going to go into with the news that kind of touches into that, but we'll save that for later.
Yeah.
So the other game that we've been playing we've been going back and playing Borderlands 1.
Yes.
And the reason that we've been going back and playing it is they released an enhanced Game of the Year version with all new texture profiles and HD graphics and everything like that. So they're doing that in preparation for Borderlands 3, which again we're going to get into with news. But with that being said, we both wanted to kind of go back and replay the game so that way once we got to Borderlands 3, we were up to date on the story, without missing a beat.
Yeah, and not to plug our own channels or anything, but we do fully plan on streaming that content and throwing it up on the YouTube there. So, you like that? The YouTube? Yeah.
Oh, you sound like an old man.
Come on, man. Just because I have kids. Shut up. Yeah. No, I am completely enjoying that, and it's hysterical because like we were playing the other night, and I thought I was playing the enhanced edition because I thought the Steam there went ahead and just updated me.
Yeah, they did it in a weird way where like I was sitting at my computer waiting for the enhanced edition to come out, and I was literally like waiting for the update, and like Borderlands 2 updated, but Borderlands 1 didn't, and then so I like uninstalled it and then I reinstalled it, and then when I did, the enhanced edition download actually popped up on the screen, and I was like, okay, I guess this is what we need to download. And then we're sitting there playing the other night for the first time, and I'm like, hey, send me an invite, and he's like, oh, well, let me send you an invite, I don't know why. And I'm like, I looked at what he was playing, it just said Borderlands Game of the Year and didn't have the enhanced section. I was like, are you playing the right version? And he actually hadn't even downloaded the other version yet.
It wasn't until you were asking me about my frame rates. And I'm like, I don't know, I'm limited at 62. And you're like, well, why don't you like switch it off to unlimited deal? And like, I'm like, oh, I can't. There's no option for that. That's not in the options key at all. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. And you're like, I don't think you're in the right one. So that's when I backed out and looked. I'm like, oh, well, I'm an idiot. Like, there is a whole other game here.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was entertaining. But, man, loading into that for the first time, whew, I thought I had nice graphics on the original with everything turned up on my PC and everything, but I loaded into that, and I believe I was just like, this is pretty. I can't, like, wow, this is awesome. So,
yeah. So the other thing that I wanted to talk about, because, I mean, actually, I know there's one more game that you have been playing, and I'm going to let you get into that in a second, but we haven't played it yet. But the good news was, while we were playing Borderlands, actually, while I was waiting on him to download Borderlands, we got a notification of a game that we've been waiting for to come back. It was Paragon. There's a couple other developers that are making their own versions of Paragon, which is a 5v5 MOBA, but it's sort of like a third-person perspective, like from behind the shoulder rather than top view, like League of Legends and things like that.
Right.
And there was a Twitch user that was, and I wish I knew his name, and I apologize for not knowing his name, but
something Test. I remember his last name was Test.
Yeah, but
I can't remember what his. Yeah,
he was doing a map test. Coincidentally enough,
yeah.
and we watched him fall through the map a couple times and different things.
Yeah, he found the holes.
Yeah, and that's all. That was designed to do. And they're talking about doing a closed beta closed alpha on April 27th, which we are desperately trying to cross our fingers, hoping that we're going to be able to get into that and be able to play that.
Don't know who I got to bribe, who I need to send flowers and chocolates to. I don't know what I got to do here. I really want to get into that.
So do I. And so that was one of the other things that we got to kind of experience this week. And that game looks unbelievably gorgeous at this point in time. I mean, just looks gorgeous. Just beautiful.
Well, as people who have, I mean, we've played Paragon from, the beta, I believe.
Yeah,
well, we played. Technically, it was a beta the entire time, but we played it for a very long time, and we watched it go through from the start to the map upgrades to the additional characters, to where they kind of overwhelmed themselves with the characters they were trying to put out every 3 weeks, to the changes and ultimately the downfall. So seeing that game go was.
And Paragon kind of got killed just because of the simple fact that Fortnite, because Paragon was developed by Epic Games, same developer who did Fortnite, and Fortnite really started to take off, and Paragon wasn't doing the numbers that they wanted to see, and so they took the opportunity to go ahead and shut down the servers, but they did release the assets for everybody to allow some other companies to bring it back to life and everything like that. So that's what this is about, and that's what we're hoping to see more of and hopefully get into in the future.
Yeah, now there are a couple different developments. We're looking at trying to get into core. There's also a predecessor that we're signed up for, hoping for a key.
You're signed up for it?
Yeah, predecessor?
I'm not signed up for it.
How'd you sign up for predecessor?
No, how'd you sign up for it?
I Googled it and signed up.
Okay, all right.
How do you...
After this episode, I'm going to be, getting on that.
Yeah, it was because we were discussing it, and then I went looking for the betas to sign up for, and I'm 98% sure it was predecessor that I Googled and signed up for.
Well, I'm going to have to check that out after this. But
you should.
So you've been playing one other game. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Now, we talking about the PC or the PS4?
I was mainly talking about your PC play, but I didn't know what else you might have been playing.
We could talk about the PC. That's fine. PS4 is more or less just still hitting the Division and kind of toying with Anthem here and there, which we'll discuss later. PC-wise, I am kicking back up and getting back into Final Fantasy XIV. And I absolutely love that game. It is a game that I have put countless hours into. I was pretty far into and following, but it was one of those games where, with everything coming out on my PS4, it was hard for me to keep up with, and so on. And someone who was going to play with me stopped playing with me. And yeah. So
I was pointing at myself. He can't see me. So any of the comedy that I put on, he'll say it later.
yeah, no, that's fine. I assumed you were probably either pointing at yourself or flicking me off. Oh, it was either or. Right. So now it's a game that I'm definitely kicking back up. I decided to go ahead and start a new character. I still have my old character who is max level in a couple jobs. I'm anticipating the new expansion coming out. I want to say it's June or July time era, something like that. I'm going to try to play through as much content as I can with the new character, get it built up, go through and experience everything again, because coming as someone who came from Final Fantasy 11 as well, Final Fantasy 14, the story is like 100 times an improvement. So I actually enjoyed going through the story on 14. I'm looking forward to doing that again. and more or less making friends on there and starting to play that whole process again. So anybody that plays it, I'm 95% sure my name is Broken Thief Zidane on there as well. So
yeah, I just created my character today. I hadn't actually played really anything, but we're on Excalibur, and right. my name on there is Colt Jester. So
I think I didn't have enough room to do full Broken Thief, so it's like Broken THF Zidane.
Which that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah, you'll pick it up.
Yeah. All right. So, is there any other games of consequence that you want to mention before we go into the news?
I did just pick up Outward for the PlayStation 4.
Okay, yeah, you've been talking about that at least to me for a while. Have you gotten into it yet?
I played it for 5 minutes and then I had to turn it off. So why don't we table that for next week? But I did pick it up and I will be putting some time into it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we can definitely table that for next week. Kind of give everybody a nice little teaser for something to look forward to, if they want to check it out. Do you want to give a brief synopsis about what it is, just to kind of?
It's hard for me to describe. I know it's like it's kind of like a survival game. It's been kind of compared to the Dark Souls kind of combat, where it's a little more challenging. You have to be aware of your enemies, what they're doing. You can't take on like a horde of wolves all at once because they will surround you and use those tactics to take you down. You gather ingredients, you go on quests, you go on missions. The crafting system is pretty cool in it. From what I've been told and from what I've read, it's it just kind of makes sense. Like, you find poisonous berries, you boil berries, you apply them to a linen cloth, you apply them to your weapon, you now have a poisonous weapon.
Okay.
Like, it just kind of makes sense the way you do things. Mm-hmm. From what I've played, the 5 minutes of it, I mean, the graphics aren't as polished as what you're normally used to, but for what the game has, I'd say it's so far, all 5 minutes I put into it, well worth what I paid. So, okay. Which I believe it's at a $40 retail.
Oh wow! Okay, that was a little bit more expensive than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah,
I'm constantly looking for, deal games that like I actually contemplated buying Assassin's Creed Odyssey on Steam today just because it was on sale for a good price.
You should,
but I actually did
100% recommend that. You should.
See, I played Assassin's Creed Origins. I loved Origins, but Odyssey, I don't know. There's some things that I heard that they did better, but there's some things that just don't resonate well with me, and I'm not going to get fully into it because I haven't really...
Yeah, you don't like ship combat. That's all right.
Yeah. But then I did sign up for a alpha of a game on Epic. Well, sorry, I'm going to look it up real quick because I just saw it on Epic's game store, and it's called Spellbreak.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've heard of that.
So I signed up for the alpha. I'm not in yet, but I'm hoping within the next few days I can be able to talk about that more. So I don't know what it is. I actually just saw there was an alpha, and I'm one of those types of people that I'm always willing to try games that are in like an alpha or a beta stage, just that I know about. So
yeah, absolutely.
Kind of expand the horizon of what I can have an opportunity to play.
Yeah. No, I'm with you 100%. When this is over, I might go sign up for it as well.
Cool.
That way I can check it out.
All right. With that being said, do we want to go ahead and get into the news for the week? And
yeah, we can start rolling through, kind of cover the news. I know it's been a couple weeks from my last episode, so some of the news is going to be a little.
Sorry, I'm just pulling up my notes real quick. But I'm going to bring up one that you haven't heard about yet. Because we're gonna talk about a lot of news that both of us have talked about, but this one you haven't really heard too much about. You do know that they are coming out with Nintendo VR. It is a Nintendo Labo creation, where it's a cardboard cutout.
The cardboard VR that you tape on your face.
Yeah, so there's different versions of it. We're not going to get fully into those, but the newest announcement is Mario Odyssey and Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild are going to have VR support.
All right, so that makes the cardboard a little more appealing.
Yeah, so they're saying that you should be able to play Breath of the Wild in VR all the way through if you choose to do so. Now, I think that's kind of weird because from what I've seen of the VR headsets, it's not something that you strap to your head like all the other VR headsets. It's something that you're holding to your face.
Right, because the control handles are like off to the side of the cardboard thing that you build, and you hold it up to your face. Yeah,
so I don't know how I feel about that. That's a very, very bizarre thing.
I'm picturing, hang on. Yeah, it's just going to be really weird to keep my hands up by my face for...
Yeah, playing a game that's intensive as that. Not to mention, I mean, VR, I would believe that you would need to have a higher resolution and a higher frame rate to prevent yourself from getting motion sickness. And the Switch, especially in handheld mode, is known for having issues running Breath of the Wild without frame droppage. Right. So, I mean, that could be... So there could be... I'll just briefly bring up the rumors of the new Switch models for that reason, for this reason, but we're not going to tie into that because those are just rumors at this point in time. Nothing's been announced for those. But there could be, with the new Switch model, if maybe could make it a little bit more worth the while, but that's something that we have to wait to see how it's going to work out.
Right. It's hard to go off of speculation of what, just rumors of, it might be this, and, until they actually come out and announce what that Switch model is going to be, and if we know for sure it can support that, which, I mean, if they're coming out with the lab, or the, the whole VR system and everything, you would think they would have a plan in place to run that successful. It's Nintendo. Yeah. They should, I'm pretty sure they have something going on. They do their own thing, but...
Yeah, I mean, they do it, they make everything their own way. But another one I want to bring up really quickly, and I don't want to spend too much time on it, but Lord of the Rings is having a new game coming out, and it's not what people may think. So it's Lord of the Rings Gollum. So it's an action-adventure game where you're playing as Gollum, and it's supposed to predate the Lord of the Rings movies, and it's supposed to show how, over the years, how the ring warped Gollum into what we know him as. Right. How do you feel about this game?
As someone who I do like the Lord of the Rings movies and everything, and I haven't. It's not a realm I've kind of dove too much into, but I'd play it. I've played a couple of the other Lord of the Rings games, like the old RPG one they had there. It was like what was that one called?
I know which ones you're talking about, and that
I know you do.
I don't remember the developers of them, and I don't really necessarily know the developer of this one. Developer, I do know that the developer of this game is known for more of the point-and-click adventure style games. So this is an interesting departure from what they're used to. So I'm a little apprehensive to say that I'm going to go ahead and play this. I mean, this game isn't supposed to be due out till 2021. So I'm very much so under the mindset I want to see more. I want to hear more before I make any kind of claim on whether or not this is going to be a guarantee for me.
Yeah, I'm not jumping in feet first right now saying I'm all on board, because I'm not. I got to see more on it. And the last game I did that too. Yeah. We'll talk about that later. Sure. But yeah, it's something I want to look at more on. I want to see what they do with it. I want to see where it goes and how they progress it, and are they capable of making an action adventure game, and so on. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, all right. With that being said, let's get into the two bigger stories that I think we're way more excited about talking about. So, story number one is Borderlands 3 So since we did this, Borderlands 3 got announced, and then another trailer that then showed off the release date and showed off all the playable characters and what their names are and information about them. So let's break that down. So GDC, Borderlands 3 got announced amidst a slew of technical difficulties. Not necessarily on Gearbox's terms.
I wouldn't put it on Gearbox. As much as I would put it on, even he said it's PAX East.
Well, and it's a a 4K game that they're trying to show off all this high tech stuff, and their computers just weren't ready to run it. Besides that, it was extremely exciting to see the release or the final announcement of that. And rumors were speculating about when we were going to be able to see this game, and we only had to wait roughly a week. And then we got the announcement that on September 13th of this year, we are getting Borderlands 3, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC, which I will be playing it on PC.
I figured as much. I will probably just buy it for PC and PlayStation 4 because,
So one of the other things that are rumored right now with Borderlands 3, and it's only rumored with Microsoft. It's on their Microsoft store saying that there's going to be cross-play capability, which I don't think is anything that would harm the game, just because of the fact that it's a co-op game. It's not a competitive multiplayer game. So having PC and console play together, I don't see any harm in that.
No, I don't either. I don't foresee it being anything that could really alter or give anybody an upper hand or anything like that, with the PC guys and the whole upper frame rate and claiming that it makes, the biggest difference, which I will say on shooters, it does make a bigger difference.
It's not necessarily yes, the frame rate is something that helps out with the PC thing, but usually the biggest thing of where PC people will talk more about the advantage is within mouse and keyboard. Being able to point where you're aiming rather than a joystick, it's far easier to aim like that.
Look at the Division. Even I've commented several times on how much easier it is to just shoot people in the head than it is on a controller any day.
Which is beneficial in the Division because you have a experience bonus for doing that.
Right. So, I don't see with this being a co-op game and, not your Battle Royale kind of deal, I don't see that being an issue at all. I just hope PS4 gets on board and
so do I.
Decides
Especially because that's where all of our friends play, so...
Right. Yeah, we have a very large group of friends that we play with on PS4, and it's I hate to leave them behind.
Right.
But, PC might be better. I'm not saying it is. I can't do it. I'm not admitting it right now, but...
Okay, so I'll lay my claim down. I enjoy playing on both. However, especially with shooters, I have found I enjoy playing shooters by far more on PC.
I'll give you that.
So
I will agree with that 100%.
Do you have anything else to add about Borderlands? Oh no, let's
you want to talk about the characters?
Yeah, let's talk about the characters. So, I'll let you take over talking about the characters. I'm going to change back to a different screen because that whites out my face too much trying to look at those names.
Yeah, I got a pretty good glare going on here too. It brightened up my eyes. But starting off, they announced the 4 different classes and the 4 different characters. You have, we said it was Mose.
Yeah, I believe so.
Mose the Gunner, Amara the Siren, Flak or FL4K, the Beastmaster, which is a new class kind of coming, right? Yeah, we haven't had a Beastmaster yet.
No, we haven't had a Beastmaster, and he's like a robotic character. So that's why he has the FL4K. So people that know Borderlands, like Claptrap, his name isn't spelled CLAPTRAP. Right. It's got letters and numbers, and that's the exact same thing for this one. It's Flak with a 4.
Yeah, so it's a little different, but you kind of get the idea. And then Zane, the operative, and basically, from what we were reading and what we've heard, the gunner is pretty self-explanatory. Uses guns. The siren is going to be. It almost, from what I read, you're used to the siren with the elemental stuff and everything. For anybody who's played Borderlands, you have the all of the boosted elemental activations and everything off of weapons, like poison or fire or electricity, blah blah blah. This one makes it sound like the siren's going to be more of a hand-to-hand brawler kind of deal. I'm sure there's still use weapons and
they're notorious
like that,
for having one character have some type of melee aspect to him. So this, like, changing up and having the siren, who's normally been like a magic type character, now be the melee character is something that I find very interesting.
Yeah, but I think that's where they. I think they'll make the magic from what they were showing. The fist, the magical fists that come out and everything. For anybody who's watched the video, I think that's how they'll make that character a brawler, which is kind of cool. You change it up a little bit.
Yeah.
And then as far as the Beastmaster goes, I don't know a lot about him. I know I want to play as him from what I've seen. More or less, you got your furry animals there to help you out and fight for you.
Well, they're not very furry. I mean, it shows the the skags as being the beasts that he controls. For anybody that's played Borderlands, skags are these, alien creatures that
volatile little dogs.
Yeah, they look like dogs almost, but alienish.
Yeah. You don't find that like furry and cuddly? Like you don't want to just lay with it and pet it?
Not in the least.
Oh, all right. It's just me. And then Zane, the operative, is your stealth option. It reminds me kind of like a Zero and those guys who use stealth, but it's more or less he has like gadgets and things. I say he. Pretty sure it's a he.
Yeah. So, from what we talked about, I've talked to my brother-in-law, who's also a big Borderlands fan. He was eyeing the Beastmaster. Dana was eyeing the Beastmaster. I was eyeing the Beastmaster. I am thinking I'm leaning more towards playing as Zane as the operative, because I played as Zero, the assassin in Borderlands 2. Right. So, and I'm actually currently playing as Mordecai, the hunter, in Borderlands 1. So I think it'd be a really good idea to go with the operative for me.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. You should go with the operative.
You're saying that because you don't want me to choose the Beastmaster. That's all that is. Don't even.
I don't know what you're talking about. You follow your heart. You do what makes you happy. All right.
Sure. All right.
Good and well, as soon as the game comes out, I say I want to go with the Beastmaster. But as soon as I see the siren punch somebody, I'm like, I need that. I want to play that.
I'm mocking you. That's all it is. So.
I know.
So anyway, all right. I mean, do you got anything else as far as Borderlands 3 goes?
Just that I'm super excited. I really can't wait for that game to come out. And
I am too, and I'm happy that it's coming out in September. I think hearing a September date, I had heard rumors of October. So us getting it in September just means we're getting it a month sooner, which I'm completely okay with.
I mean, I wish it was out now, but at the same time, I'm okay with it not.
Yeah, just because we're playing through Borderlands 1 and 2.
Exactly.
So
I'm okay with the wait. I got plenty to keep me busy until then. Maybe I'll be able to max out a couple characters on 14 before it drops.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. With that being said, I think this is going to be our biggest story that we've had a chance to cover, and our biggest story of this episode.
I was really hoping you were gonna somehow we could set this up as a segue to go from one to the other, but it's really hard to go from Borderlands to this.
Yeah, and I mean the thing is, there's not a good segue because this isn't a very positive story. No. So for people that are in the video game, kind of space. They've probably most likely heard about this. We wanted to give our own opinions and our own spin and our own, conversation about this. Daniel's going to kind of primarily bring up the key points, and we'll kind of go off that. But so the game in question is Anthem. Anthem is kind of under some controversy right now within their studio and different things that are going on around them. So I want to start off with, this sucks, but I'm not really necessarily surprised to hear about any of this, for the sake that this game looked very rough from my perspective prior to it coming out. So with that, go ahead and you can actually talk about the key points.
So Anthem, for anybody who doesn't know, is a looter shooter that came out in February. And it pretty much, you have the Iron Man feel to it. So you use mech suits, you team up with friends, you explore the wilderness of this world that's enveloped in something called an anthem, hence the name. And you go through, you have various guns, you have various skills per suit that you use called javelins, etc. The flying, I do want to start off with some of the positives, because me, myself, I was one of the biggest vouchers for this game. I tried several times to get Colton on board with it.
I had my issues just getting into trying to play the demo, and those issues spiraled into just me not wanting to support it. But at the same time, I would have turned myself around on it if it would have launched better and it had a better reception than it did.
Right.
I played a ton of Destiny 2 and a ton of Destiny, so I couldn't, and I already knew I was going to play The Division, which is coming out a month later, so I couldn't necessarily commit to playing another looter shooter that wasn't going to live up to the hype. So
right, and that's I was constantly on board with, just give it time, get in it. No, it's going to improve. This game is great. The flying is amazing. The fighting's fun. I was like, yeah, it's a little weird that you have to keep going back to a fort. Kind of takes you out of that whole immersion in the video game. Like, you're not, you might get into something, you do the mission, back to the fort, go do another mission, back to the fort, and it's like, okay, that's something I can kind of look past, just because I am a big BioWare fan and I am, on board with this game, and I'm having fun when I am out doing missions. However, then the issues started, the glitching and so on. So, needless to say, with all that being said, it's had its issues. It has some major flaws. Jason Schreier over at Kotaku came out with an article where he interviewed 19 different developers on this game, and they discussed the major failing of this game and why it crashed as hard as it did. And it's pretty surprising, but one of the main keys that they walked away from is the development time that this game actually had. He talks about how the game started development, or was at least discussed and brought into the light, around 2012. I think that sounds right.
Yeah.
And it did not actually hit production until the end of 2017. Going into 2018. And then it had a hard release it was supposed to come out in fall of 2018, but it had a final release on February 2019. So you're talking a 12-month to 16-month window to create a game that actually didn't even roll into production for 12 to 16 months. I mean, it's pretty ridiculous. And I don't know what your feelings are on that, Colt, but
I don't have much on that. I mean, as you continue, I have plenty of thoughts and feelings, because the story gets a lot more intense, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And here's the thing. I want to preface one thing. I do want to preface one thing. We're going to talk about this again. This is, Daniel already stated it, over at Kotaku. Jason Schreier did this. Please, if you are interested in this, definitely go over there and give them at least the click and let them and kind of show your support of what's going on, because Jason's spin on this was a very positive as he could, as far as just wanting to shed light on these things.
Yeah, he really does. He does great work. So, it's well worth the read. It's a lengthy article, but it's definitely worth your time if you're interested at all in knowing about this game.
I think he said it's somewhere around 11,000 words.
Yeah, something like that. That's right.
So it's a lengthy article, but again, he interviewed 19 people, so of course it's going to be a lengthy article.
Right. So I mean, there was a lot of things dating back, issues they had going through this production, where they discussed the startup of it back when this game was first being talked about and kind of in pre-development. They were discussing all the ideas. It wasn't even a looter shooter. This game was like a survival game. You use the mech suits. You go out with teams. You explore the wilderness and everything. Flying was in the game, out of the game, in the game, out of the game, in the game. It was pretty much we can't figure out how to get flying to work. We got gliding. We can do some hovering kind of stuff, but the flying just didn't feel right, so they would take it out. They go do all this various stuff. It was a lot of back and forth with BioWare in trying to develop this. And then, when was it? I'm trying to think of the date where they got together with the EA executive.
Well, you don't need to go into that much detail.
Yeah, it's pretty much. I was just trying to remember even the year. I want to say it was around 2016. They got together with an EA exec who tried the game, pretty much, to sum it up in my own words. Told him it was garbage. He didn't like it. And they then turned around and had to develop a very polished game with flying back in it to show it off. So they did that, showed it to him. He said he loved it. And then they went into production. Now, you're talking a production on this game in the Frostbite engine, which, as Colton and I were kind of discussing earlier, is an engine that was developed for like Battlefield, things like that. This engine does not, as they state, Jason covers in the article, it does not have like load save features in it. It doesn't have a lot of like your RPG mechanic kind of issue or features in it. So those are all things that the team had to kind of develop as they went through working in this Frostbite engine and not knowing how the engine even really worked. And they said it was kind of a pain, more or less. So a lot of issues moving forward. Pretty much told flying has to be in it. It has to be very polished. It has to be a good game, blah, blah, blah. Starting it off, it's coming out in fall of 2018. And they were saying by like June, July of 2017, they were still in pre-production. They were not or pre-development. They were not developing the game yet. And then by the time they got rolling in like 2018, they had one mission in. Like they have one story mission done. The development team didn't even know what the game was even about until it was shown at E3. And they're like, we didn't even know what this game even was. We're just kind of developing different things, tossing in ideas, and then it just kind of had to roll forward. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the other big thing about this was, the team that was working on this, BioWare. For the people who don't know, they do the Dragon Age games, they do Mass Effect, and they went from developing Dragon Age Inquisition to developing Mass Effect Andromeda, which were both lengthy, stressful, games that they had to develop, and then now they're going into this process of developing a game with all of this stop-start, basically, of what's going on throughout the development process of Anthem. Right. And all of these misdirections on what are they doing, what are they not doing, and
by the way, it is their first multiplayer game that they're developing.
Mass Effect and Dragon Age are both single-player, story-driven, choice-driven games, and this. So there was a lot of talk in the article on different things about, you know, how depressed and how, like, you know, stressed out. Like, there's things about people having to take, you know, doctor mandated time off for their stress and things like that. So, you know,
right.
As much as I kind of joke and I hate on this game, I don't like the idea of hearing about a studio having to go through these types of issues. And
the depression alone is just absolutely horrible to have to hear about. Like, especially, you know, we love video games. We love playing video games, and it's hard to think about creating a game and being depressed and being in that, you know, that environment where it's just, you know.
Yeah, for me, like, I'm not one of those types of people that looks at, you know, video game development as this underappreciated craft, because I mean, without these people, we wouldn't be able to play and do the things that we do. And I've never been one of those types of people that have, you know, ever been like, oh, how come this feature's not in there? That's got to be so easy, you know. Like, I understand these people put hours, I mean hundreds of hours into these projects, and you know, there's a lot of criticism going on within the video game industry right now about crunch being a thing, and you know, how, you know, nobody's job is secure, and like, to go through, I can only imagine what these people are going through in the sake of, you know, what if you know, this is a flop, and you know, we've put in all this time, and now, you know, they're pulling the plug on the studio, and we went through all of this just to lose our jobs. Like, I can't imagine the level of stress and potential, you know, things that they've gone through. And
without a doubt. And you know, it's you talk about the development, like how easy it is to just add something, or, you know, take something out or alter something or whatever. And Jason even covers that in the article where he discussed how some of the developers made comments on working with Frostbite. And they're like, it might take me a week to fix a bug in this engine. And like, so
and that's
why would I waste Frostbite a week on doing that when I can just hack around it and now I don't have to worry about it?
Right, and that's the problem with engines like that. Like, you know, there's no one engine, and from my understanding of it, that could work in every type of plane. And for a company like EA to just kind of mandate that they use this exact engine, I get it, like, you want to save money by not having to develop a new engine for a different project and everything like that, but
you don't have to develop the engine. I mean, they could have, like, paid to license that. Unreal Engine would have covered it.
Unreal would have been fantastic for a game like this. But,
no problem.
And the thing is like, Unreal, you know, at the end of last year, they changed their cut on what they take from people as far as like what they get owed. It's 88% to 12%. The company that's making the game gets 88%, and Epic only gets 12% of that cut. And for those numbers, I mean, like, it used to be 70-30. Like, that's astronomically different. Like, that's not like you're losing that much of a cut of your profit.
No, I mean, that's awesome, because it's like they're giving back to their developers, more or less. I mean, they're still taking what they got to, but I mean, Fortnite is such an amazing So I mean, it's Fortnite's just such an amazing game and everything that it's one of those things that I'm not going down that road. Fortnite has done such an amazing job and earned them a ton of money, so they can pay back, and that's what they're doing. But I mean, not to get off on a tangent on them or anything like that, but I mean, this whole article really brought forth a lot of light to not just Anthem's failures, but how, I mean, it's kind of this way, I think, with a lot of development teams. And you do hear about the crunch, you hear about how much, how stressful it is being a game developer and how much time they have to throw into these. So it's unfortunate that that's the way it has to be, and it shouldn't have to be that way.
Right.
So I mean, with Anthem, I fully understand after reading Jason's article. how this game could be as screwed up as it is. Especially, I mean, if you're talking, you had one story mission done by like around 2018, the beginning, and you're sitting there within the next 12 months, you're putting in the rest of the story. Well, it's no wonder it feels like a half-assed thrown together game, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, from what I hear, I haven't played it, but from what I've heard, the game, there are certain things in the game that make people feel like the game has potential.
Right. And there are.
You know, and maybe give it a year of them doing a little bit more plugging away at really trying to, you know, fine tune and really develop like some of the extra content that they're planning on adding. Hey, maybe it's a game down the line that you know, the people that worked on this can be very, very, very proud of.
It's a matter of, did they bury themselves to the point to where it can't be revived or not? And honestly, I mean, look, don't get me wrong. I love the flying in it. I have a lot of fun when I do play it. However, the problems it has are like legit problems. At one point, They fixed it. At one point, it crashed my PS4. They completely shut it down.
Yeah.
Like, you know, at another point, I was playing probably 3 weeks ago, going through a one of the strongholds, which is like doing a raid or whatever with 4 people. We're running through this whole mission, and we get all the way to the end. We're on like one of the hardest difficulties. We've been at it for like an hour. I have some awesome loot. We're fighting the final boss. It kicks the entire party. That's it. Like, sends us all back to the tower. You're done. The fort, whatever you want to call it. And
That's insane.
yeah, that was it. I lost everything. I'm like, okay, I'm done with this. Turned it off. I haven't touched it in like 2 weeks.
Yeah. See, and that's just not something that is a sustainable project for even fans to want to try and invest time into. And you know what? Hopefully down the line we come back and we're doing another episode and we are singing out the praises about how they've fixed this game and how they've made it better. And
I hope so, because I am a big BioWare fan, so I really hope that they fix this. If they don't, and you know, maybe whatever, at least I have the next Dragon Age to look forward to. So
yeah, right.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, like I said, I'm going to reiterate it one more time. Kotaku.com. Jason Schreier wrote an article on this. Go check it out to get all like the entire full story on it. With that being said, I mean, do you have anything else for us?
You know, not that I can think of. Just that I'm going to be. I am so glad I'm going to Florida.
Man, I want to go back to Florida like you wouldn't believe. But that's a conversation for a different day.
yeah, no kidding. So, that's pretty much all I got. So we can.
All right, well, that is episode 2 in the books. If you guys haven't seen episode 1, it is on both of our channels, Broken Thief Zidane and Colt Jester's channel.
Yep.
So thank you guys for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you guys on the next episode. If you liked the video, go ahead and throw a like down below. Comment about if anything on the Anthem things or Borderlands or any of the hot things that we've talked about today, or even just comment about, you know, maybe potential news that you guys want to hear about.
Yeah.
And if we forgot something that, and maybe we can bring it up in a future episode.
Absolutely. And anybody that wants to look me up on Final Fantasy 14, by all means, shoot me a comment and I'll give you my name.
Yeah. All right. So, with that being said, thanks for joining us, guys. Have a great night.
Till next time.
Deuces.